Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our parent meeting for confirmation. A little bit weird, I know, but it's just kind of the weird ways and world in which we're in. I can introduce myself. I'm Tyler Bublitz. I'm the Director of Youth and Family Ministries at First Lutheran. Pastor Corey is here. We have Nathan Berg, who is here. He'll be teaching 8th grade. We have Dave Sauer. He'll be teaching 7th grade, and then we have Cindy Cantos, who will be teaching 6th grade. And if you were with us from confirmation last year, there'll be a few tweaks that you'll notice this year with kind of what we were looking at with the requirements, and a couple things that are a little bit different this year, kind of based off of just trying to make sure things are keeping in touch the best we can with what's going on in the world, along with just making sure things are what's working with kids and what's not. And if you're a new parent, welcome. We're going to be giving this a go. So I'm going to take and I'm going to have hopefully posted hopefully late this week, early next week on the church website. Corey has been doing a lot of work on trying to update the website, and it's a total overhaul. So we'll have on, it'll be on the confirmation page. I'll have these sheets with the expectations and a couple other links in there, and so you'll be able to get them. So I'll take a start. And if there's any questions, feel free to do the raise the hand or even just turn off your mic and just, ask me a question. Feel free. So first and foremost, what we're going to have is still for 6th and 7th grade. It's kind of keeping similar to what we had last year with 21 weeks of attendance for confirmation, and for 8th graders, because they lose a couple right at the end, 17. Now, how we're looking at doing confirmation is a little bit different. These first few weeks, for sure, we'll look at having it on Zoom. And what we're hoping is it hopefully won't be too long, but we're essentially will be meeting together. And then what I'm hoping as probably after a couple weeks, that especially kind of keeping it kind of similar to what the school is doing, and that we'll have the 6th grade class come in one week, while the 7th and 8th grade will still be virtual, and then the next week the 7th grade will come in, and the 6th and 8th grade will be virtual. 8th grade group will come in, the other two will be virtual, and then there'll be a week where all of confirmation is virtual, where the high school will come in. If that makes some sense. On the nights that what I'm hoping to do is that confirmation would be done by 7:30. For the weeks that they come in, I'd ask to see if the parents could pick them up at 8, so we can kind of still have a little bit of a youth group type thing, especially that a lot of the kids, there's still so much remote learning, and let them have a little bit of time where you can still spend some time with some classmates, and we can try doing some fun youth groups type stuff. So with that, then we're still going to have times for checking off for coming to worship. So for 6th and 7th grade, again, this is through the whole year. It's 26 times, 10 times with parents. 8th grade, it's 10 with 5 times with parents because they lose the summer months. And how you're going to say that you are attending worship, you have a couple different options. One, you can either leave a comment or a question from something in the service in the YouTube comment section from the services. You could respond via a comment on Facebook when it's posted there, would be another way. Or if you just want to just shoot me an email, just to have it a little bit more private of a comment or question or something that was brought up. It's a good way to kind of see. And as the year progresses, Corey and I have talked about maybe we have some fun with that, maybe that you're listening for a certain word or something like that, maybe later on. But we'll start with that and see how that's going. Does that make sense? Maya, are you following me? Awesome. The next section, this one is straight across the board for 6, 7, 8. We'll have participate in Wednesday or Sunday service. So this one, we're kind of keeping that. It's the idea of what we had with ushers and acolytes, but obviously right now when we're not meeting in person, that's a little bit harder to do. So what we're doing is kind of this hybrid version. There's a couple different options in which you can do. So first, we always would love to have readers come in. And if there's a time where you would like to be a reader and do kind of where you're reading the lessons for church, we'd love to have you for a week and we can help you and I can help connect you with the office to find a week to do that. You could help in leading and singing. You've probably been seeing with worship that we have the different singers, and we'd love to have some of the younger members of our congregation helping to lead service. So that'd be a great way you could possibly do that. When we're meeting in person, you could help by doing slides. And I would even say right now, potentially, you could even come in and help at least see a little bit of how we're recording the services. And there's some things that you could probably still help with that. Another one that we've looked at is kind of doing this something different that we haven't done yet with worship is this kind of welcome to worship. So you can, with your family or even yourself, just kind of record yourself and send it in that, hi, my name is so-and-so, or introduce your family. And then you can say, and welcome to worship. And then we're going to slide that into the beginning of worship before the announcements with Pastor Corey or Pastor Linnea. Clear as mud? And we're just looking for 2 of those throughout the year. Next, we have participate in one event as the greater FLC community. So the idea here being, especially with how things are, some way to potentially be possibly interacting with some of the members of First Lutheran. So this can be anything from Ditch Pick that we'll have here in October, and I got to get the date set on that here pretty quick. But it could be, traditionally would have been like Lutefisk dinner or garage sale, but, helping with if spring cleanup or different things along that around the church or different things that are coming on. So again, that one, there is a little bit of, feel free to talk to me on, Tyler, I came in and or I'm looking at doing this. Would this be something that would work with that? And it's kind of this idea of being able to connect with some of the broader community here at FLC. Makes sense. Okay. Next is mentors. And if you've been in the program before, you probably recognize what mentors are. Typically, this is someone that you're choosing, that you're wanting to meet with. We're asking 4 times a year to kind of just have some discussions, kind of talk about how things have been going, how have you been growing, different things of that nature. And we have some questions. And again, I'll have, when we hit the website, we'll have some different things and that you turn in and let me know who your mentors are and just that you're meeting with them. One of the new ones that will be this year is I will be giving you a phone number of an elder within our community, in our church community. And the idea is that once a month, you give them a call to have just a short little conversation. And I will be giving them and you a question on one question for sure that you're wanting to make sure, I hope, that you have discussed. So it's going to be kind of trying to tie into a little bit what we've been talking with confirmation. But part of it is also there are a lot of our members of First Lutheran who haven't been able to see a lot of people, and especially they would love to be able to interact with some of our younger members. So kind of trying to see if we can find some of them where there's some natural interaction between you guys. And so I'm hoping that if I can give a question, and I'm thinking once a month, and it can be a 10-minute conversation on the phone. And I'll give you guys the numbers so you guys can figure out what works best with you, and then you can try calling your person and see if that will work with them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does that sound okay? All right. The confirmation retreat will happen in some form, in some fashion. Not entirely sure when that's going to happen based off of what's going on. Typically that happens in early February. So if things are clearing up around that time, then we can maybe look at having more of our normal confirmation retreat. If not, we will be figuring that out, but it just still feels a little bit too premature to nail down a date on something with that. Sixth graders. The special thing that sixth graders get to do is interview an elder. It can be a relative within the church or whatever. And there's a whole list of interview questions that, again, I'll be posting that you guys can work through. And then you're just typing up kind of a half sheet on what the responses were and how did that interaction go. That makes sense? Seventh grade, your question, your little short paper that's kind of tweaked a little bit from last year, which is kind of trying to fit in with what's been going on, is how have the events since the beginning of 2020 changed you and impacted your faith? And so however you want to take that, that's their little, and it's just a one-page just response question to that would be fantastic. Eighth grade, it's still the faith paper. And the faith paper, that's why we'll make sure we'll still have confirmation retreat of some nature to help you guys. Again, the outline for that will be posted on the website pretty soon. And again, you can start on that at any time. Confirmation retreat is a time, though, we do make sure we focus on it big time. And that will be presented in front of the congregation. We'll sign up for times and figure out a time for that to happen. Does that make sense? Now, week-to-week confirmation. What we will do is this. We're going, what I've been saying, we're going old school. And what I mean by that is we're going Reformation old school. And we're going to go a little bit closer to what Luther was initially thinking when talking about the small and large catechism. So on Thursday, by the end of the business day, the lesson for the next week will be up on the confirmation page. And I'll even put the date and for what week it's for. That will be for the upcoming week. The idea is that hopefully as a family and as some type of spiritual practice or just a time together, so it can be just a night where you guys get together and work through it, or it can be a dinner conversation where you're working through it. Then when we're getting together on Wednesday nights, I'll have my leaders have their certain questions from that worksheet that we'll make sure that we're talking about. But part of it will be essentially kind of discussing what was some of the discussion that every family had or each kid had with their family kind of going through this. And how did that kind of go? Does that make sense? Now, the exception is next week will be a little bit different. Next week, I will not be posting a lesson for next week tomorrow, because what I'll be doing and working on is we'll still have this Zoom link, and I will click the Zoom and we'll come in. I'll take attendance, let you know about different things that are going on. But we want to try getting in right at 6:45, because at 7 o'clock, I'm going to have a link for all of us to watch. And I think along with the Eastern Synod of North Dakota, have a 1 hour kind of racism discussion and how we go through with racism in faith. I saw part of this presentation, I think, at the the extravaganza for youth workers. It was really, really good. There'll be some worship music and then just kind of some discussion, hopefully to kind of give a little bit of clarity to what's been going on. So we're going to start with that. And I know that's kind of a big topic to jump right into at the beginning of confirmation, but we're going to give it a go. And the following week, then we'll have a normal lesson, and I'll probably also at the end of the lesson have a couple questions kind of tying into what we talked about the week before. So we can kind of look at that as a time where either the student can kind of watch it by themselves, or they can watch it with their family and kind of have a discussion. And hopefully it leads to some further discussion and kind of trying to process and think about some of this stuff. I know we're in northern Minnesota, but we also have to remember that Bemidji is surrounded by 3 Native American reservations. So maybe it's not necessarily Black lives that we're talking about, but we're also talking about our Native neighbors also. Does that make some sense? Good. That's kind of all I had, and I'll make sure then on the website that we have the documents, and I'll state which grades they're for them. But I can also, when the week comes up that they're there, I'll try also handing them paper copies because I know that's also helpful. Are there any questions from parents at all? I know it's a lot of information kind of thrown at you real quickly. Also getting messages, I think. That's on the next. My next meeting.
Did you want us instructors to go through and kind of introduce ourselves and?
Sure, that'd be great, Nathan. How about you start us?
Oh, okay. Well, I was just looking for filler, but here we go. So my name's Nathan. I taught 8th grade last year, had an absolute ball. First year doing it, I thought I had energy as a 20-something-year-old. No, not compared to 8th graders. We had a good time. We pranked Tyler's office. We put a bunch of girly sticky notes all over everything. We really had a good time, and we learned a little bit too. So I'm hoping to keep that energy up again this year, but it'll be tough for me because I travel. So I'm really going to be into this Zoom thing, but when I am home, starting tomorrow, when we do meet, I like to make things more activity oriented instead of just reading off of a sheet. So I've got a couple things planned for the kids that are in my class. We got flip cup clergy, putting for prayers, and then something along the lines of tic-tac-toe, and maybe something really exciting along the lines of tic-tac-toe with the frisbee and stuff like that. I don't think, well, what the hoot. My plan is for us to utilize the parking lot and play tic-tac-toe with frisbees out there and tie that into lesson somehow. So my goal is to get us outside of the building, outside of sitting in the library, reading off a sheet, thumbing through our phones when we're paying attention, and actually get it to be a little bit more interactive. So that's my goal for my class, because I like to screw around too. So that's all my class. Pardon the noise outside.
Dave, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Dave Sauer. Nathan and I are fortunate enough to have the same class we had last year because we kind of got cheated out of it. All of a sudden, almost the day after the confirmation retreat, it all ended, and we had a lot to say to those kids. But a big thing for me, I've always done with every confirmation class, is I like to start every evening with a pow and a wow. A bad thing that happened to you this week and a good thing. It seems that it's easier to teach the young people if you know where they're at. And every now and then something big comes up and we really spend time on it. I was a church worker, youth director for about 30 years before I retired. So, and now I'm here and volunteering, and I'm teaching the 7th grade this year, and I'm very happy to be back. And by the way, if you're looking for an elder to interview, I'm definitely an elder.
Cindy, I think you're up next.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Cindy, yeah, this is my 2nd year teaching confirmation, and just love getting to know the kids and having conversations about faith. In college, I was a camp counselor for 3 summers, and I just loved it. It was the best job ever, and just fun to talk to kids about faith and just their energy and excitement about it and different ideas. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to confirmation this year and getting to know all the kids in my group, and yeah, it should be fun.
The other thing I'll make sure I get on here, and then also when we post this online for the parents that weren't here, my email address at the church is tbublitz, BUBLITZ, at flcbemidji.org. And feel free to use that. And I'll also then, when I get people's, if you could shoot me an email so I can make a kind of a parent email. And then in that first parent email, I'll send out my cell phone number so that you guys can have that to reference also. Typically, I give out my business card, which has all that, but obviously we can't do that. So, is there anything else, Pastor, I'm missing?
No, I think it's good.
The
We'll
kids?
have to,
Oh, go
the
ahead.
biggest thing, we'll have to try to let the folks know that didn't make the meeting tonight about next week and how to get on that right away.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'll make sure that we have that Zoom link posted, and hopefully that will work better. So, any questions from the kids? The other thing I will say to our 2 students that are here, or 3, if your girls are around, Brittany, if there is something in particular that you're wanting to learn, feel free to let me know, reach out, and I can see what we can do. I mean, part of this is my job is to help you grow in your faith. So if there's something that you're wondering about and you're wanting to learn more about, reach out, let me know. We'll see if we can plug that into what we're doing this year. Does that sound good?
It does.
You're ready to give a faith statement this year? There aren't any other questions, then I can let you guys go. But I will say I'm hoping that this will be kind of a fun, different way of doing confirmation. I know from the past we did have one student that kind of the last few years has kind of had to do this a little bit, this type of version. And from the responses back that I've gotten from their parents, the cool thing is the parents got to have discussions with their kids that they wouldn't otherwise have, and got to tell stories about them going through and different things with growing with faith. And I think it's just as important for the kid to be able to see that faith is important to other people at church, but it's also important seeing it from the parents themselves and having some of those discussions. And if you have a younger student walk in, let them join in the conversation. I will try making the questions that are both challenging for the adults, but also good enough for a young child to be able to wrap their head around too. So that's what I'm trying to do. We'll see how well I do it. So otherwise, I can let you guys go. I can end us in prayer if that would be the best way of doing this.
Great.
Yes.
Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this small group, but it's this amazing group of people gathered here tonight to help lead and to help learn and to help grow in you this next year. And I just pray that as we step into these new and different times, and especially for growing in our faith, that we use this time and these people as resources, and we continue to tap into your Holy Spirit to guide us in growing and learning more about you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Go in peace, serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
I'll see you guys next week.
Bye, Tyler.